This week on The Necessary Entrepreneur, we welcome 4x3 founder Chase Crawford. Chase launched his career by creating viral fake Taco Bell commercials in his hometown. He then rose to prominence writing and directing commercials for the real Taco Bell while still in high school. After high school, he began producing feature films under the 4x3 moniker, working with stars such as Adam Conover, Joe Crest, and Cody Kersley to bring nearly 20 independent films to life between 2017 and 2020 in response to the pandemic. He expanded 4x3 beyond production and into distribution, securing deals with Tubi, Apple TV, Prime Video, among others. During this time, he decided to launch 4x3 Comedy. He has since produced over 70 comedy specials, hundreds of millions of views on social media, and worked with comedy legends such as Mark Norman and Wayne Brady. Crawford is a Forbes Next 1000 alumni. During the conversation, we discuss identifying talent, distinguishing good from bad, how far is too far, improving empathy, the duties of a producer, and the best place to see a comedy show. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I hope you love this one. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and we'll continue bringing you interesting and valuable conversations. Hey, thanks again. Chase Crawford, thanks for coming in, man. I just got done saying a few minutes ago, like, hey, man, what's off limits? And you're like, I just don't want to talk bad about people because when you talk bad about people, they talk bad about you. And I'm like, okay, man, like that's fine. But I think that's a good vibe to go with, right?
That's the one I rock with, and it's working all right for me. Yeah, I mean, it's all right to call people out when something's wrong, but sometimes you just don't have a full understanding of a situation. Maybe you're speaking out of line in your judgment. So I try to avoid that at all costs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone's doing their own thing, right?
Well, look at you, man. The early to late 20s perspective, right? The world's still broad and bright and nice and happy, and everybody treats everyone well, and it's all wins and victories, no losses.
I just I think. Well, I got my teeth kicked in with the parenting thing, and understand the world isn't all rainbows and butterflies, but yeah, at least like in my world of arts, it's like you're dealing with a lot of egos and visions, and for it to all come together sometimes is a miracle. And that's why I just kind of producers produce. They kind of sit back and let the creative people do what they're put here to do and support them how they can. And yeah, I mean, and I've had clashes with people, had to fire people, had to come down and be like, this is what we got to do. But I don't like to do that. That's not the side of, if anyone lives in that side of the business all the time, they should just reanalyze the whole thing, because that's not how it should be.
Go live in a cave.
Yeah.
So did you really get your start like making some commercial for about Taco Bell?
I feel like that's how I got my real start. Before that, I was always just attracted to video creation and making things. And my dad worked in sports media, and I got to, when I was spending time on the weekends with him, I would get to go to sports games and just see how things were made. I would get to sit in like the edit trucks when they were live and just watch them call shots and get replays ready. And it was like the coolest thing to see as a 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. Yeah. And you can't, once you have the itch, you can't get rid of it. And I just started making videos. The first one I made was when I was 12. I had a snow day. We had a flip camera. And then from there, it was just kind of finding friends who had cameras and being the guy who was willing to hold it while they made skits. And I was just trying to learn settings and figure out shot style. Like I was just doing more of the granular learning of just messing up. And then after that, I transferred. So that was like 14, 15. After that, went to Butler Tech media program, got my hands on a camera and computers every day. And yeah, I made videos there. But I think the first real thing was after my first year there. During the summer, I was making these fake Taco Bell spots. And yeah, one of them got like 50,000 views, which was 2013 viral, right? And they found my contact information, called me, and my mom thought it was a prank. And they said, "Can you come out to LA next week and make one of these commercials for real?" I was just first I was stunned, and then I was like, I gotta ask my mom. And it was a life-changing trip. It was her first time like west of the Mississippi. That's where, you know, we kind of just had this heart-to-heart where she told me that I have to follow this with my life. This doesn't happen to everyone. It was kind of like one of those, like, do this. This is your thing. And I've just kind of rolled with that ever since.
If she wouldn't have been that supportive, and that was beyond supportive. That was, you have to do this. Like, that was her word. You have to do this. And she backed it. She's my number one fan. That's where do you
mom.
think that came from in her background? Have you ever sat down with her and asked her, like, hey, why was that your perspective? Why did you see it that way? Why did you push me to go do it? Have you talked to her about that? Because it's special to have somebody show up in your life like that.
No, I mean, my parents divorced when I was 5, so she raised me, and I think, I can just speak to myself as a parent. If I had a child that had that level of success at 17, I would tell, if they were on the Olympic dancing team, I would be like, dude, you got to dance your whole life, dance your heart out, right? This is your thing.
But you may be that because she raised you
exactly.
To be that, right?
I don't know why that's what I'm saying. I don't know why she's like that. And as soon as we got back from LA, the first thing she did was, she's a teacher. We didn't have money. I mean, moved into the first house that we had as a family when I was 11 or 12, and just like lived in apartments. I lived with my grandparents for a little bit. It was just different growing up, and I knew that I had to follow it too. Like, I knew that this was the thing that got me out of Monroe and got me to LA and working with people, and it's taken me around the world. And my mom, I was saying to say all of that. As soon as we got back from LA, I still didn't have my own camera or laptop. And she went to Best Buy and got a credit card, put it all on it, and then divided it by 12 and made me get a job and pay her back. She's like, this is what the work it takes to have this stuff. This is not, I know X has a camera at home and Y has a laptop, but like, this is $3,500 worth of stuff, right? Like, you need to pay me back for this. I know you don't have credit or $3,500, but I'm going to help you out. Don't let me down. And she's just really taught me everything I need to, give me a great game plan for life, man. And you know how special that is? Like, I know it's your mom and she's special because it's your mom, but like, it's actually special to have a parent or anybody who really cares about you to show up that way. The things that she taught you, what you're going to have to do as a young dad and having 3 girls, you're going to have to transfer that to them without making their life too easy. It's a tall task. And I think, like, and again, when I told her that my girlfriend was pregnant, she was the first person that was there hugging me and telling me it's all good. And no one ever told me to give up on it, though. No one ever said you gotta just step back. And there were people who questioned it at times, but there was never anyone that fully intervention me as like, dude, you're not called to do this. You need to get a different purpose. You need to get a 9 to 5. Yeah, you need to find happiness in feeding your family or whatever, right? And that's real. You can't. Starving artist is cool. Starving family ain't. So like, you do have to figure out like the entrepreneurial side of it along the way. But the whole, focusing on the family and staying in Cincinnati and building something. I've always, had the just full on support of my mom. I know that she is always rocking with. She's a ride or die, right? She's gonna be there for me at the movie premiere. She's gonna be there for me whether there's 2 people or 20 people. We went on vacation this summer, and I had a movie come out, first movie ever come out in theaters, and she made it a point that we were all going to go. We were gonna dress up and go to a movie theater in Myrtle Beach and see this movie, and it was like, I mean, I looked over, my mom's crying, my grandma's crying. It was a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful I have her support. I know that she knows that, and I'm glad that we get to document it here today.
Yeah.
You know, you never say these things at Thanksgiving.
You don't.
You just say I love you and I'm thankful for you. But
why don't we?
I think people. So here's the thing, I do sometimes. I get really lovey-dovey with people, and I'll just, especially like my like male friends, my male colleagues, I'll just really let them know, like, man, dude, you are like killing it, and like I respect you, I love you, I appreciate you, like you are the coolest person I know, right? And because like we just don't do that enough as like friends, as humans,
A society.
Yeah, it's society in general. So I think getting into that's what, when you were talking about if I had asked her, it's like, no, I haven't asked. I could and I should. There's a lot of questions, I think, just in life that we leave unasked, and that's where our mind gets to fill the rest of the gaps.
Maybe this calls for a coffee hangout with moms.
Yeah, well, my mom lives in, so yeah, not to put out all my family information. So, but both of my parents live 600 miles in the opposite direction of me right now. So that's like also been another, like, mom moved away, I think 5 or 6 years ago. So, and she comes back. She's here all the time, probably every other month, every 3 months or so. But yeah, it's just like I'm here in Cincinnati and I'm figuring out life. I'm doing everything for the first time too, right? Like,
so what if you figured out, we're 2023. We're going to talk about the past like 6 years of your life today, but and all the things that have transpired and what you've learned and the wins and losses. But like in 2023, you're sitting here at 27, a dad of 3 little girls, just moved to one of the best school districts in Cincinnati in Northern Kentucky. So you have some stuff going on, but what have you learned?
Well,
because you haven't had enough bourbon yet. We mentioned that you haven't had whiskey. We've got it over here. So if I got out the bourbon and we started to do that,
I'll give you some learning lessons. I'll tell you something that my mom told me when we were out in LA. She said, Chase, people are born famous, people are born rich, but no one's born a hard worker. And like, that is it. That's really it. If there's anything you need to learn, it's that you can run circles around people's asses. You can outwork anyone, right? I was up until 3 editing last night. I was up at 9 in the office this morning. I got shoots until 9 tonight. I've got shoots Thursday night. I've got a shoot Friday night. It never stops. And I'm not here to be like, oh, I'm running, I'm coming after you. But like when I started at 4x3, the whole vision was to be Sony. So if I'm not gonna stay up all night, I'm never gonna be Sony. And I may never be as big as Sony, but if you start something without a big enough vision, it kind of just fizzles out. I think. So one thing, add that to the list of things I've learned. Dream huge and then land where you land. Like that's I'm building an app right now. That's something I've been spending like those midnight hours on, is just like learning this new world that's so linear with mine as far as video production. Like every video we shoot ends up on social media, but I don't know how this app is made and how profiles are saved and where it's stored and how it's
deep, man. When I had to have the app created, we're in different worlds. You're in the creative, artistic media space, but we're starting to do that with the podcast. But if you own a company, you have to do that stuff now. But with the real estate company, when we went through developing our app, I'm telling you what, man, it was a whole new world I had to learn. Even though I wasn't the developer, I still had to set up accounts and go into Apple development. I had to learn things that I never knew I was going to have to learn, and it did something for my creative brain. It helped, but man, you're learning another level of depth that I need to. But it was fascinating. It's like there's a lot going on here. It's like a whole nother language, isn't it?
I'm working with 2 people on it right now, and I've maintained, and this isn't like to be like isolate yourself, but I've just tried to maintain the ownership of like the vision. This is the vision of the thing, right? It should be like this and should be like this. And I don't have hard feedback. Like I'll be like, hey, can we have a tap tag do this? And they're like, sure. And they make whatever color and size and font, make it that. That's where you guys should have fun with your job. I'm just trying to make like a functional thing, and the vision's up here, and I don't speak the language.
Is it tough to relay that until you see it? Like you'll see it and you're like, no guys, that's not it, but it needs to be this.
Yes, it was. The first like 3 weeks were probably the clunkiest weeks of any app creation ever, just because the idea is a combination of so many existing things, and then we're focusing it on comedy. That alone is like, cool, we can do that. But now it's building the interface that supports that, and then finding like the other people that support it. So yeah, just like bringing the idea to other comedians, and just like people who also produce comedy special, just like getting feedback from industry partners, right? That's the term. Fellow comedy producers, just trying to be like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing where like if you follow a comic, you get a ping notification when they come through your town, and you can get a ticket in the app, right? And while you're in the app, you get suggested clips from their openers instead of clips from random famous people or whatever's trending. And maybe they can move some of their cooler, better content there for less of a fee than Patreon. So just like taking all of these ideas and then like the audio component, right? It's like there's Spotify, there's all these different platforms. If you follow a comic and all of their albums, podcasts, specials, clips, and paywalled content show up on one feed, isn't that the spot? And you could buy tickets there. So we're trying to create that. The big thing though is a lot of comics are getting like demonetized on YouTube. And that's like, not to go too far into it, but
Does that say one wrong thing and it happens?
Exactly. We just want to protect that, right? Like comics are inherently funny people who are always trying to find boundaries, and to entirely deplatform someone, it just, King kills a jester, it's the end of an era, right? So you deplatform too many comics and you start running close to the line with society of like, why are they shutting down what that person's saying? Maybe there's some truth to it. What we want to do is find those advertisers who are on YouTube who are saying, we like that guy, we don't mind running ads, that's actually our supporter base, but you're saying that we can't run ads on it, and you're saying that he can't make money. Why don't they just go to a different app and we can funnel advertisers there, on top of creating original content with comics? So then imagine if you went to a platform where all of the ads were comedy ads as well, right? Kenan Thompson on Car Trader with his cop, and all of your funny, like it never leaves the vein of comedy, which that's the vision. So then I let my guys do what they can with that. And
do you think it's too is it too narrow of a vision for an app and a platform though?
No, because the end goal is TV and radio. So it's building the foundation to become a direct competitor to Comedy Central, and to go on Sirius and have its own independent underground radio network. That's like 6 months after we launched it. It's like quick.
You see it happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just been since August, pretty much like my 5 to 9. My 9 to 5 is 4x3, and then my 5 to 9 is the app. And then no, I'm just kidding.
What's your 9 to 3 then?
My 9 to 3 was editing last night, and usually I'm playing video games with my wife or watching TV. Like I spend a lot of my like personal time just together with my wife, and we talk and eat and watch shows, and
you're like, the girls raise yourself.
Nah, I spend plenty of time with the. That's the beauty is a lot of what I do. I get to work from home. So my two youngest are at home right now, and I get to see them all the time. Go to the park. Like if I'm not back to back on calls or backed up on work, I'll happily take an hour long break and go to the park. It's
Just a big kid at heart.
Am I a big kid at heart? Sometimes I feel like it, and other times I feel like I have the responsibilities of a 45-year-old man.
Well, I could relate to that because I'll be there in January.
The commonalities me and my dad have right now. My dad has my little brother's 12, and I have a little sister who's 10. So we're having a lot of the same weekends of like, oh, well, I got to drive Cash to hockey, and I got to drive Noah to cheer. And I'm like, hey, I got to drive Cambria to soccer, and I got to coach. And it's, then I got, my middle child's now getting into, they have like kid jitsu. It's like little kids just going at it. So I have fun doing it. I don't know how other parents feel about it. I'm sure it will wear down on everyone eventually being a child taxi, but I'm really enjoying it. I am locking it in and understanding that this is the last 10 years I get with all my kids in theory. 10, 12, 15 years I get with all my kids, and after they're 18 they don't have to talk to me. They can move across the world. Like, I totally understand the flip side of bad parenting is kids don't want to be around you. They don't come back to visit. They don't respond to your texts, and really they resent you for a lot of things that you didn't do rather than the things you did do. So
Isn't that funny, the correlation with bad management too? Because the same thing will happen with employees and people you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
The same exact thing.
Yeah, it's with in the art space, you see people, they'll get run off and blacklisted so quickly, right? Like it's the blacklist, right? Everyone acts like it doesn't exist, but I just had a friend who was telling me about a makeup artist that they worked with down in Atlanta who's in her 6th city in 6 years, and essentially the only reason we were talking about it is because some bogusness happened on the invoice where they tried to add all these fees and mileage that weren't discussed. And it was just like, hold on, maybe this is why you've been in 6 cities in 6 years, is because you're not really, there's a way that people do things, and it's not like trying to add a bunch of stuff, or at least
Trying
like
to screw people over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know if it's morals. It feels like morals, but
I think it's values and principles.
Yeah, values and principles, probably the better word for it. I just I see it every day in business, especially like in the film world. There's so much competition to get your own idea out there that sometimes people lose the sight that it is a team thing, and you can really like self-destruct if you make it too much about you, and that pushes talented people away from you. Ultimately,
if there's so much competition in your business, it feels like your business is a bunch of different businesses that come together, right? If it's about what else is it about? Is it about money?
I would say the app's more about, the app is the money idea. The comedy stuff is, not to go into too much depth, I'm not rich from anything that I've created independently, right? I've been able to sustain a living, and I have some employees and teammates, and I'm able to, continue to produce original content. But you would know if I had produced a big movie or produced a big TV show.
I don't know.
No, you would know if I had produced Succession. You would, or if I had produced White Lotus. There's just a different level of success that those producers have that I'm still working towards. And I'm a working producer, right? That's kind of what I'm saying.
But would you be different?
Would I be, sorry, what?
If you produced one of those two, would you be different than the guy sitting here today?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a Emmy-winning, there's a different, it's just like,
you think that's going to change the aura around you?
It changes everything. It changes the type of projects that are brought to you, the type of people that want to work with you. It really does. And you were able to continue to bring the people you like working, say like, oh, I love working with this DP. Can we partner this project, this script with? That's what people want to work with a producer for. But I mean, as far as it wouldn't necessarily change me as a person. It would just change the resume. It would change the other talking points that we would have today. Be like, hey, how's that new script you got going with Will Smith? And I'd be just
he might be available.
Jolly to talk about it.
He might be available.
Hey, let's get it. Will, let's do. I'm actually a huge fan of Jaden. Jaden's big creative muse. He does his clothing line. His music videos are extremely unique. And I guess I wanted to just get it out on camera that I danced at his concert when he opened for Justin Bieber. Me and my wife went. I was like the only person standing and dancing, and I got that hand point. So
he appreciated you.
And every female in the section I think I got recorded and put on the internet. I don't know where it is, but I felt it happening.
It's somewhere.
I just wanted to get ahead of it before it got out there.
Okay, before it goes viral.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, hey, I know it was happening.
I know what was happening.
It was intentional.
Yeah, tag me.
So how do you go to Myrtle Beach and have a movie that you produced or distributed be on the screen?
Oh, that was a movie we produced here in Cincinnati last summer, and then it got picked up and ran in every like Regal and AMC across the country. So a 600 theater release, and yeah, it was called Between Mercy and Me. It's on Amazon Prime and PureFlix, and I'm fumbling platforms. It's out everywhere. It's out there.
How'd you get involved with that project?
I was coming off of a rough work stint. I got beginning of COVID. I got hired to direct 5 movies for a famous network that produces crappy movies, and there may have been some creative differences 3.5 of the 5 movies through. I was just coming off a rough patch of work and looking to dive into something, and didn't really care about any of the, like, I really truly was just looking for a good script, and got introduced to Craig, and he knew that I had produced a Christian film in the past, and I'd produced a musical in the past, and it's a faith-based musical. A lot of the people from Crossroads worked on the project, and it was a pretty easy yes for me. I mean, the stuff I was producing before that, it was to keep the lights on, right? I needed to work. It was the pandemic, and there wasn't a lot happening, but it was creatively destroying me, to say the least. And
to work for the paycheck?
To make those movies, I would have rather worked for a pay. I have no problem working.
But that's what you were doing, though, keeping food on the table during COVID. It's like, I signed up for this. I have to keep going.
Oh yeah, my wife was pregnant.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You had to do that to put food on the table, right? You had to.
Yeah, there was no other work. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So you had to. So
I did it for as long as I could. It was when we got to the last 2 were Christmas. Sorry.
Man, don't be hating on some Christmas, Chase. We're right in the Christmas season. I mean, dude, in that seat.
I know. I'm realizing.
No, that's okay. In that seat, last year sat the Santa Claus.
Yeah, once we got to the last 2 Christmas movies, that's my patience all of a sudden just left my body.
What's it going to show up on the Hallmark Channel?
Again, unnamed networks only.
I'm allowed to say it, but you can take that position. Okay. Yeah, you have no idea.
No idea.
No idea at all. Okay, I said it. Yeah.
No, it's not Hallmark.
Okay, good.
I love Hallmark.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, Christmas movies, man. Don't be hating on Christmas. A lump of coal's going to show up, man.
I still haven't made a good sorry to everyone I made a Christmas movie with. I still haven't made a good Christmas movie, though. I want to make a good one because my kids love Christmas, but I haven't yet. That's
what
just
would
the
be
truth.
a good Christmas movie? Since we're in the season, we're getting ready. We just came out of Thanksgiving, which is my favorite.
Well, I'll tell you my favorite was Jingle All the Way. As a kid, that was I would request that all the time, and I don't think there's quite been a Christmas movie like that, comedy with starring a comedian, right? Like, I think that's where I would love to be in the lane of making movies, is pairing up funny people on the stage with cool actors, and I let the writers do their thing. I can read, so I can identify good stories and have my own opinion there. But as far as writing, I wrote some stuff in college, but nothing that got past 20 pages. It's just a different mind that you have to approach 80-minute, 100-minute story that you're just like, think about what writers do. They turn the page and they just make it up, right? And it all makes sense, and sometimes it makes beautiful sense. And I would rather that's what I'm saying. Is people who are put here to do that should do that. I was kind of put here to do a different thing, and I like where I'm at and what I do in the process.
So how did this comedy stuff happen, man? Like, how did you find yourself? Like, I went out and checked out the 4x3 YouTube channel, and you can go out and look at it and see the video from all these comedians that if you're not, I'm busy in my daily life, so I don't have a chance to go out and partake all the videos happening on YouTube as much as it would be good to. But these comedians I haven't heard from, but I'm like, those are some good videos, man. That's some good content. How did that happen?
So essentially the pandemic happened, and it was going to cost us like half of our budgets to do the COVID safety stuff. Meanwhile, stand-up comedy shows are packed, and these really talented comics are waiting on HBO, Netflix, Santa Claus. It's like, who's going to show up other than you? Question mark, right? And it's not like we can show up for everyone, but we've shot 80. We've partnered with almost 100 comics to produce their first special. So that shows that there was some sort of gap in the market where HBO or Netflix wasn't coming to Cincinnati and producing people's first specials. And that's what I love about what we do is, and then I'll go back to how it got started. But what I love about what we do is we can put a 30-person show in front of 500,000 people. Like, we can put a 500-person show in front. It always goes beyond that initial audience. And you see it, my favorite thing is just seeing the comedians double their following or triple it. Like, we had a guy go from 6,000 to like 115K and
subscribers.
On
on
Instagram.
YouTube.
No, on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Really?
Instagram. He had like 4 clips do over 1 million plays, and just, followers. And that is, that's why you go out of your way to try to find talented people and partner with them and work with them, because now he's selling out comedy clubs every weekend and auditioning for huge TV shows. And, we got to work with him before he was doing that, and still get to be friends with him. And hopefully we get to make more stuff. But and even they know that this is a stepping stone company, right? You can use us for as long as your vision requires, and we can go all the way to the top together. But if Netflix calls you tomorrow,
you're doing the Netflix special.
Up. Yeah.
100%. How do you go and find new talent that's undiscovered? That has to be the core of kind of what you do.
A lot of Instagram, TikTok. It's how everyone finds, we're finding comics how other people are finding comics, just scrolling, which is, every time I talk to people, I'm just like, put your stuff out there. If it's, you don't want it to be too crappy. That's, in general, everyone should follow that rule. But if you can release anything decent with good audio and captions, put it up there, because that's how you expand your audience. And, it might end up on the feed of someone like you or me, where we can take an action move and make something with you and potentially expand your career, right? So a lot of discovery, and then just a lot of referrals, where we've got to the point of like production and scheduling. We just finished booking a trip for New York in May, so we're like 6 or so months out. It's a lot of the word of mouth of referrals that we'll get. We have like a comedian submission. I guess I'm just like, I know that people are going to watch this and be like, how do I get a special? How do I submit? It's like, yes, we see the submissions, and I'm not saying that we're too busy to not see them. We check every submission. A great way to get
seen
an answer item a yes or no is to, if we've produced a special with a comic that you're friends with, have them just send us a message. It's like the best vouch in the world, because in working with the comic who refers you, we can tell just a lot, right? We can tell where you're at in your career, what you're trying to do. And that's just like in general, right?
We can leave humility at the door.
Oh, yeah.
And just talk about the awesome things you guys are doing without this world that we're in. I don't give a shit. Cancel me. I don't care. Right? Because I'm going to keep talking.
Dude, you got to get Roseanne on here.
Well, I would. Right? And I think, but I listen to so many people and we seem to be filtered. We're filtering ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit.
No, it is. Really, I just want people to know that we're seeing them and trying to produce as much as we possibly can. We are a small team, so we can't do everything. And if you make something yourself and you think it's a good fit for our platform, you can send it to us, and it's a totally different deal than if we produce it. So
how do I know if my shit's good? You're like, so, because what you said in the beginning, this is actually relevant for all of content developers and people who want to be influencers and people putting out video and content on social media. Because there's this balance of guys like you, guys like me, it's like make content and put it out. Because so many people say they're going to and don't do it. So we're like, hey, take action. But it's like, there's one more however. However, make sure it's not shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everything's shit in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, and that's, you kind of have to, it's so...
Are you going to say you got to know?
Creating's just such a big and long process, right? And I think along the way, you either realize that you're sculpting a pile of shit or you're carving marble, right? It's like, we're making art, it's going to be something.
But how do you know that? If someone
sometimes it's deep into the project. I gotta be honest. The script is good. Everything went good on the shoot. You get it in post, and you're like, "What the hell is this? What is this?" And it doesn't happen that much in comedy. I think comedy, for us, the general rule of thumb is if you can fill a room with 100 people, we'll tape your show. We'll put your work out there and expand your eye. We'll let the internet be the judge, right?
Does that mean, does a room of 100 people mean you're good? Or maybe is it good that 100 people cared about you?
Exactly. It means that you have a support system to your career, right? That's like, and whether that's friends or family or real fans is kind of something that we find out when we show up to the city. So I think that that's like been a variable. That being said, there's been 3 specials that we've killed just because they didn't live up to our standards. So we're not like too prideful to just release bad stuff because we shot it. To that note, like there's other stuff, and there's 5 people that work with like at 4x3 with me, and sometimes we'll be editing something, one person will just like not be into it, and it's just not their style of comedy. Is very opinionated, but it doesn't affect like anything for us fundamentally. Like as a business, right? We're producing and releasing and promoting independent comedy. So it's my judgment call to produce stuff.
So does intuition matter, or could you write a chapter of a book on what makes a good comedy special? Or do you have to see it to know?
I think it's very opinionated. Right. There's just so many different people telling jokes that have different relations to.
So how do you know your opinion is going to be the right one? Is it intuition?
I think it's just a gut feeling I have when I can feel something good or something bad. You can identify talent. I think I've done a knock-up job of identifying talent. If I do say so myself, the first Taco Bell commercial I created in high school, that guy went on to have 2 million YouTube subscribers, and I mean thousands and thousands of toured the world in a rock band. I mean, just like, but that was the only other dude in Monroe who was doing something different, who was refusing to, like, I remember me and him would wear skinny jeans, and people were like, "Oh, bro, what are these skater weirdo, loser, nerd. Like, what is this?
And
right?
you weren't even a skateboarder, right?
No,
That's what I'm
I
saying,
was like a thespian.
Yeah.
So like it was just like put us in the line of target. We're just gonna be best friends.
What do you think about those skinny jeans now?
I got skinny jeans. I love skinny jeans.
What about a big dude who wears skinny jeans?
You talking like built?
Well, probably a guy who could get on the treadmill. Because, see, I'm borderline on a guy who would be the big guy. If I don't get my ass in the gym, I'm going to end up being the big guy that shouldn't put the skinny jeans on. So I'm asking you what you think about the big guy who puts on skinny jeans.
I'd have to see it. I'm not judging. I think Jelly Roll, he'd be an interesting guy to see in some skinny jeans. But yeah, I mean, like, it's style and fashion, and there's like a lot of like a guy named Kid Super. I follow a lot of like fashion designers that it helps guide. It doesn't help pick what comedian's funny, but it just like helps with art style, right? Like poster design and like what everything should feel like and look like, and like how different styles and colors and feelings and things come together. That's kind of how a comic is. They have all these stories and everything that come together, right? So seeing a good comic's like seeing a cool bag, or seeing like, it's like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is a legendary designer. He's great at his craft. Now, how you distinguish good from bad? Yeah.
How do you distinguish it?
Well, overlapping concepts is an easy one. If there's even more than two jokes that are overlapping concepts with something else that we've produced, it's gonna be tough for us to do that, just because like, yeah, we have another comic who has a joke just like that, right? And yes, there's overlapping concepts. It just makes it a little difficult when we're all kind of like building up the same people, same team. It's like, hey, why did you produce a special for a guy that did two of my jokes? And it's like, oh, we didn't. But we did. Whoops. And it's just like not a great way to make friends, right? In general.
Are there an endless amount of jokes that can be written? At some point, it's like, man, that joke has been written. It's been said. Because you can go all the way back to...
We'll never know because Mitch Hedberg is dead. That's what I tell people. Okay. That guy could still be going. And there's new things that happen every day. But I don't think, as far as the guy who's going to find every punchline, I think that was him, and he's gone, so we'll never know.
Should there be a limit to what comedians make jokes about, or no? Everything's
like, where's the line?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean...
Is there? Because there's some, wouldn't they say that, no, there's no limits?
To put it in perspective, I've been to Rogan's mothership a couple of times, saw Gillis there, saw Ari Shaffir, Mark Norman, like Tony Hinchcliffe, Joe Rogan, all these people that are notorious for, Shane Gillis got fired from SNL the day he got hired, right? So, and now he's one of the funniest guys on the planet. None of them crossed the line. In my opinion, you have to see their set, but Shane performed most of what's on his special. Mark performed most of what's on his special. There wasn't anything that was like poor taste, bad judgment,
is there that though? Because there's a controversy. I won't even say the person. You could if you want, but there's controversy going on right now that one of the biggest hitting current comedians, right, made the joke.
Pete Davidson?
No, not that, but made the joke.
Matt Rife?
Yeah, about domestic violence. And I haven't listened to it. I just know it's controversial.
And the joke was, and here's my thing. Isn't that like a joke that someone's heard before? It's like a high school joke. It's like a notebook joke. So
seriously, I'm not trying to put you in a spot to get you canceled, to make you take a position on it. But my point is that there are people on both sides of that. There's people, and what's going to happen is he was already going viral. The guy's filling up auditoriums. Now he's going to go more.
Yeah, I think, really, it's just clear and decisive that if it's hateful,
But is it?
No, I don't think that is.
No, but I'm saying things these days, people have opinions about things that are hateful, that I'm like, that's not hateful. That's funny.
I think if you want to watch where the line gets
Blurred.
Close Blurred is Andrew Schultz's special that he had to buy back from Netflix because they wanted him to cut so much stuff out of it. That will put it in perspective when you watch it of what did they want cut out of this. Because there is some stuff that's, I'll just say it's like aggressive, but it's not anything we wouldn't post, right? It's comedy. It filled the house. He's well toured. He's done his thing.
So you almost don't know it until you hear it or see it, right? Is that kind of it? Because you could probably say something in one way that it's okay, and then someone else takes it and says it with just a different little tinge, and it's like, that's not okay.
There's just all sorts of slurs and jokes and stuff that you can make about all races and types of people. And, some comics do it and pull it off. You could tell when something's like, oh, Jesus, would he like punch a parade of these people? Like, if the joke is about a type of person and there was a parade full of these people, would this guy be a, threat?
Yeah.
Is this a thing that is like just not really?
And maybe in comedy, that's where we're at, is that there's no defined guardrails.
No, because you got YouTube, you got Louis C.K. putting his stuff up on his website. That's like going back to, the app. It's like, let's be a home for the deplatformed, and we can let advertisers decide from there. I think that it's a testament to what people want to watch and view when YouTube takes down a Theo episode with whoever that has millions of views and take it down, right? Try to wipe it from the internet. What does he do? He uploads it to X, which is,
and it popped.
Yeah, I mean, it got millions of views, and if there were a comedy-centric platform that would back, I don't want to say it backs everything comedy, right?
That's what you're building.
Yeah, it's equitable. It's comedian-owned. Comedians can see how the money is coming in from TV and radio, and okay, we have the podcast. And these advertisers are making offers to advertise on your podcast for ad reads. But then these sponsors just want to run pre-reads every 25 minutes. And they can just go check. Okay, cool. Made $475 on today's episode. I need to print off this PDF that has my ad reads. And it's like, how can we simplify the clunkiness of the back end? And then even expand beyond that, because right, like comedy clubs, they book weekends, right? And there's 70, 80, 100 comedy clubs all over the country. There's thousands of comics. How do they know who the perfect person to book is? Well, what if there were an app that had people's geolocation, and a comic with 1,000 followers in Cincinnati could get matched up with Go Bananas and have 4 sold out shows? Like, it's just like, let's make their availability with this club and these dates with this like, there's not anything like that in this space, and eliminating a lot of the clunkiness that happens with comics trying to run their own emails, comedy clubs trying to, comedy
they're not good business people.
Everything. It's just so much. It's just so much to do when you are trying to be funny and entertain the world to respond to an email. Like, I tell comics that, and they're like, no one's ever said that. I'm like, no, I get it. Like, you are trying to make the world laugh, and someone's hounding you about an email. Like, I get it, but we do need to set up this call. So can you send them sometimes you're around this week, right? So it's like, hey, yeah, come on. But also understanding that the reason they're so great is because they live their life the way they live their life. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to wake up at 11:30 and we're going to go get some Mexican for lunch, and I'm going to write at the park for an hour, and then I'm going to smoke some weed and do 4 sets of comedy.
There's a lot of weed in comedy.
Yeah.
Does it just put people in a creative spot? Does it bring them down from the high on the stage? Does it balance them? I mean,
well, I think there's more bad stories that I have about like comics getting too high before they go up on stage. Not like during a taping, but just like they'll get up there, you'll be like, oh my God, he's gonna do 10 minutes of material.
He's gonna bomb.
No one's ever. He hasn't even heard the jokes he's about to tell. He's just gonna be like, oh. Oh, dude, does anyone have a DoorDash? Like, he'll just be like, I'm hungry, right? And
Have you seen that? Have you experienced that?
oh yeah, I was just in LA for 8 days every night. No, LA's good. There was two comics that probably smoked a little bit too much before going up there, and unfortunately, the thing about that is, you're only going to realize that when we send you the rough cut, and then you're not going to want to put it out there. So you definitely kind of got to, know the situation, have that situational awareness, and realize that there are cameras everywhere, but like, you're not Kevin Hart yet. You can't just be like, okay, we're going to kill this entire bottle of alcohol and smoke all this weed, and then that's when I'm going to be my funniest and perform my best, right? That's when I'm going to do it. Who does that work for? Cat Williams?
Probably.
That
guy's crazy.
You have to be an anomaly of a performer for that to genuinely work for you as a performance enhancer.
So are the anomalies like a Theo or a Cat or these big names? Like, those are easy to see, right? That's the easy ones.
The acts, right? And even like, I think Ryan Goldshire's a good impression of a good example of someone like that on our page. He does the impressions, and he's had a lot of success. He's kind of someone that you can spot and be like, that's a guy. He's got it. Yeah, he is going to go as far as he wants. He's just going to keep on going and going and going. And that's the most exciting thing about knowing him. There's a guy named Blake Hammond who is, easily one of the funniest people we've ever taped with, who is another guy that's just attack with the jokes. An insane writer. And it's just a guy, literally 20, 30,000 views on a YouTube special that was shot at Motor Pub. And it's been really fascinating to see these guys get out there, but you can just tell it's special. And if you ever get the chance, Blake lives here in Cincinnati, so you must see him live. He performs sometime like every week. It's worth the watch.
What's the best comedy venue to go see comedy in? If you took your top 5 comedians and you could drop them in a place, what's the best place to go see a comedy show?
I liked the Mothership a lot.
Man.
The no phone thing was really what set it apart. And I think if other clubs did that, it would just enhance the entire experience. The cell phones have become such a distraction. We've
not like attacking comedians on stage. That hasn't been a distraction, and throwing shit and coming at people.
Dude, there's nothing more annoying than someone fucking texting or like getting a phone call in the middle of a taping. Just like, bro, laugh. Come here and not be sad for, like, the phone is making you sad, man. Get off of it. Laugh. And they just won't. So I think everyone should get, because we went up to a couple of those like Chappelle Farm shows, and they do the same thing. Take your phone. You're engaged with where you're at. You're talking to people. You're listening to the jokes, and you're just like, I remember a lot of the details from the shows at the Mothership. Other, comedy shows I went to a show at the Comedy Cabana in Myrtle Beach. Hell if I remember anything that happened. It was just not as memorable. There wasn't an experience. There wasn't a vibe.
So you think it's as simple as when the moment you come through the door, they're putting your cell phone into one of those bags, and if you need to go check something, you have to go check back with them and then look at it and all that. So it's that simple.
I think it's as simple as that. And every comedy club would. And now, will people like that? Who's to say? But it works for concerts. It works for other events. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it allowed maybe comics to go further to that line without
being
fear
recorded.
Of cancel. Yeah, it's like, hey, we're still working some stuff out. Not in the vein of like hate speech, but just like, hey, I might not ever put this joke on the internet. Like,
didn't something happen a few months ago where it was so funny that supposedly people were like, Chappelle actually made this joke, and he's like, I wasn't there. It was somewhere. I remember hearing this, and it was a place where you weren't allowed to have your cell phones, and he made a joke, and he's like, no, I wasn't even there. But he was actually there. And he made the joke. People document. They talked about it, but it wasn't recorded.
Huh? No,
You didn't hear that?
No.
Yeah, he's like, no, I wasn't there. It was like New Jersey or New York, and I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, that's funny.
He said so. He said that he wasn't at the event.
Yeah,
but he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, I wasn't there. I didn't make that joke.
Plausible deniability. Show me the proof. Yeah, Chappelle. I mean, he's really I don't want to say starter of the phone lockup trend, but I know that he's been doing it. I saw him in the belly room at the Comedy Store, which was
in LA. Mm-hmm. It was the place, right?
Yeah, and that was like I was sitting from like me to that camera, maybe not closer
to Dave.
Yeah, to Dave, and he did like 2 hours of comedy. John Mayer was there, sitting like in the corner. Brought him up shrooms, smoked like a whole pack of cigarettes. I missed my flight the next morning because I lost track of time, and then my phone was dead, and I couldn't order an Uber until like an hour later because I was in LA, no one, and had to find a phone charger. So
those are the special moments, though, right?
Special as in like, like it was just expensive. It sucked. It was like a expensive comedy show that was awesome, and then an expensive Uber that was planned, and then an expensive rebooking of a flight which was not planned.
How'd that conversation go when you got back to the real world, back to Cincinnati?
Oh, it was all good. I was in LA for work, so I was making money. It just, I made less. Sorry. That's how the conversation went.
So when you go out and source talent, how are you sourcing it? So we have these posters here, which are awesome. So how do you go? Do you intentionally say, I'm going to this city to see this person? Or do you say, I'm going to go to this city for these multiple nights and I'm going to find someone?
We will, it's like band routes a tour or anything else. We went to Austin in May, and we did Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City, and then Dallas, Houston, a week in Austin. And then we did a show, not really on the way back, but we drove 17 hours overnight to do a show on the way back in Chicago.
So these are actually booked to record acts.
Yeah, so we'll, go over everything. We'll review the show online, go over all of like the agreements and hash out all the details. We'll announce the show, do the promo, and then show up, knock it out of the park.
Who owns the creative?
As far visually speaking, who owns the creative? It's such a team process. Come on now. The comedian owns the creative of the jokes. I think like we handle the expertise of the execution when it comes to the video side, but ultimately if a comic's like, I hate this angle, can we just destroy it in a fire? I'm all on board with that, and we can just replace it with the shot they're happier with. This is built to create things that they're happy to promote and release and build a career upon, not to be something that they're not happy about or feel, have just like some second guess. It's like, no, I did this and it's awesome, and the art came together and we shot it at the weirdest, coolest, most interesting, like we shot in a barber shop. We've shot everywhere. So everywhere except here.
Yeah, right. Except for here. We have studios in here. We got full back. We can do stuff.
We could do a special here.
You could, right? We could do a special in the other media studio too. What can we learn, normal everyday business people that aren't in the space of production, creation of comedy, specials, movies, distribution? What can the average business person learn from you, and what can you teach us about creating content?
You kind of got to trick yourself into being successful. I think like the Taco Bell commercial, I didn't know it was a spec, and then I learned what a spec commercial was when all of the people I was going to college with were making, I'm making a spec Nike ad. It's like, I've worked for Taco Bell already.
What's a spec ad? What's a spec video or spec ad?
It's a commercial that you make for free for a company that you put a ton of time, energy, and resource into, and hope that either they call you or an ad agency calls you or someone that works with real companies calls you. So I'm fortunate because I did already have, a couple of commercials under my belt, like real televised Taco Bell. These are things, right? And that was in high school, and I was just able to leverage that in a different way, and was producing got to produce some stuff for Nat Geo when I was like 19. Did my first film when I was 20. I was working as a social media producer for this sports company in Chicago for a year and a half. I launched the Atlantic Coast Conference Digital Network with an awesome team of people there. Like, I've been around the block and learned a lot about social. I guess here's what people can learn from me. Is when I was young, I was building my personal brand. I was posting things that were starring me, about me, this, that, and the other. And I built when I graduated high school, I had like 30,000 Twitter followers, right? So I built a social following, and it was cool to be me and make videos, right? I had a very unique but awesome high school experience. What I learned, so I got the job at the company in Chicago, and my boss was impressed. I had a bigger social following than the company. He was like, I mean, this guy's name's Kevin, and I like him a lot, so I'll talk about him because I just talked to him. I still talk to him all like Kevin Highland, #1 supportive person of Chase Crawford in the corporate America game at the time, right? Do the interview, show up at the office, just like shadow him, start sponging, learning everything I can, get the internship. And yeah, I mean, pretty much he was like, you've built your following with your pretty little face. Now see if you can build one without one. And I was like, damn, those are fighting words, bro. Like, we're going to start like this. And then went from like 8,000 Facebook followers to 500,000 Facebook followers in 6 months, just because we went from every video, because what that company was is they bought rights to college sports games like Mountain West Conference and Pac-12 and stuff. And then they would like air some of the games on their website, but they would post the highlights like exclusively on their site, like behind. You'd have to click through to get it. And meanwhile, like,
there's ads running on it.
Yeah, it's just,
yeah, it's clunky.
So I was like, why don't we just take the video and post it directly to social media? And
you're such an anarchist, Chase.
Oh, I know. And it did, I'm not even kidding, like 1 billion views in a couple of months. Rapidly grew everything else. I got to get hired on after my internship.
So what do we need to know about that? About just that simple, like, hey man, just put it on social.
Yeah.
Like, stop doing this and put it on social.
Eliminate the barriers. That's like the #1 thing to building any sort of faceless brand, is just eliminate the barriers. If you're making good stuff that has a target audience, stop making them pay $5 a month. Stop trying to. Everyone's fell for that already, dude. People are canceling Netflix left and right.
But isn't that the Patreon move, kind of?
Well, it is the Patreon move, but those guys are already famous and people like them and they have a fan base. Anyone starting from zero would be foolish to be like, hey guys, 4x3, we're a great independent film company. We've made 1 movie and it's on our service for $5 a month. Who's in? And
you'd have like 3 people.
I would be working somewhere else right now, right? It's like 14,000 YouTube subscribers are, people. I love them. I'm so proud, right? Mm-hmm. $0 of monthly recurring revenue. Like, those are just people who are baseline interested in what we do, and you need 100,000 of those people that are just interested in what you baseline do before you charge anything monthly recurring.
So that's it.
I think. I haven't reached that formula yet, but that's even just my personal thought is I would be foolish to even think 10% of those people would pay $10 a month for what is already free on YouTube.
So if tomorrow your best friend who isn't in your space was like, hey, I'm going to start a bakery. I have 0 brand. I don't even have a name yet, but I want you, just like Kevin Highland, is that his name? He challenged you, he's like, yeah, take that pretty face and now see if you can build a brand. So it's like, can you take a bakery that isn't even known yet?
Well,
what would you do with it?
Well, my next project's a bookstore.
Okay.
And what I want to do is go from selling only new books to new and used. So turn it into a community store where people
Exchange.
Yeah, exactly. You can sell your book. It's like half price books. But then create an imprint, right? So release children's books with comics, right? That's the way. I feel like it's figuring out what's that national thing that you can do. What takes you outside of the bubble of a strip mall bakery, right? And that's been for a lot of small businesses and companies, it's been TikTok, and that's been for bakery, that's kind of why I switched. It's hard to think of a hardcore direct-to-consumer product. For a bakery, maybe the best way to get themselves out there would be a podcast or a YouTube channel, and kind of go after that cake boss vibe where, hey, we just got 200 cupcakes order. Follow us as we make it, right? And Mr. Beastify all of their big orders, but the day-to-day probably not that interesting. So you kind of really do have to buckle in on like, okay, what is the most interesting thing happening here, and how are we getting that beyond the circle of just the people who know us or follow us or shop with us already, or just in general live around here, right? Like people in LA know about Skyline Chili. Mm-hmm. There's something to building a brand and having an idea that's just like, sometimes it does have to be like, yeah, local bakery gets 100,000 views on a YouTube video. That's probably a huge win. Mm-hmm. Drives in business, and that's where growth happens. Really, is I guess what I'm saying. It just depends on their growth and objective. But the bookstore can be like the world's smallest, most unassuming like children's book label imprint, because you can just store your stash in a factory and keep a brick and mortar for. And yeah, I kind of want to turn the second floor into a coffee shop.
That's different. Why the second floor?
So you got to get people indoor and upstairs to, like, you can't just walk right through the gift shop sort of thing. You got to look in the bookstore and pick out a book, and you're creating a vibe for the community. I think that's more of the responsibility, right? It's no speakers. It's a 1970s vinyl player with the standing speakers. Like, I think that is I don't want to say that's the future, but like, it's going back. There's some sort of podcast clip that goes around where it's like, if Nike opened a hotel tomorrow, you know exactly what it would look like. That, yeah. And I think if you were to, my hope is that one day, if we ever do anything, you kind of already have an idea. Like if we say, hey, we're going to open a bookstore, you're like, oh, that's going to be the coziest, coolest, most like eclectic bookstore, and y'all do coffee. So I know that coffee is going to be delicious. I know you're partnering with the best local people and getting some pastries in there. We got the holiday babka. It's like left and right, we're hitting home runs.
So when you said to Mr. Beastify,
mm-hmm.
Obviously Mr. Beast, I think it's top whatever. He has how many 100 million viewers or subscribers? But what do you mean by you have to Mr. Beastify it?
Yeah, it's almost like adding you're intensifying the level of excitement. You're essentially creating the excitement that you want your viewer to have. You're parlaying that from in front of the kid. So it's like you'd be shooting me at me like, guys, you'll never believe it. We got 200. I mean, if there was a camera on you, you'd be like, holy shit, we got 200 cupcakes, dude. I'm going to be working all night. Get the frosting started, dude. Like, man, I got to go to Sam's Club, right? It's like when you Mr. Beastify things, it's like, we only got 16 hours left and we got to go to Sam's Club before they close. Oh my, right? It's like all of a sudden it's happy, and almost the chaos is exciting and entertaining. And that's like, yeah, if there's one thing that he does a good job at, it's kind of making the crappy parts of
suspense around
it. Or yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this guy who stood in a circle for 8 days and meanwhile Mr. Beast is gone and slept all night, and he's like, okay, how do you feel after 8 days in the circle? And this guy's like like he's just all shriveled up, sleep deprived. Mr. Beast finally gives him his 10 grand, and then he's got his YouTube. So yeah, Mr. Beastify your video. Yeah, bakery.
But I just came up with that. Do you need to first develop a good business and then make it special with content, or can you create to your boss? So your boss, he gave you, I was kind of your first job, right? They already had the content because they were getting all of this sports video, right? But you had 8,000 subscribers, and you took it to 500,000 in 6 months. So what'd you do? You did something more than just make it public on social, no? It was the exact same thing.
I went. No, you're right. I think if I remember right, I went from posting once a day to 5 or 6 times a day. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there was more to the story.
Because if we're here to help people, because there's goodness in your heart to help people.
Oh yeah, no,
it's there.
I'm not hiding anything.
Yeah,
I promise. It's just so long ago. It's 8 years ago now that all that happened. So
because in this world of entrepreneurship, what does it mean? So we have the Necessary Entrepreneur sign behind us for the podcast. There's 2 things there. I'm working on the book about being necessary in life, because the only reason why I went down an entrepreneurship path was because it was necessary. Because for me to have the life I wanted, take control of my life, so I wasn't working for someone else to help them accomplish their dreams. I wanted to accomplish mine, right? So what about that statement, about that story, about entrepreneurship? What's it mean to you? Because you're a business person.
Yeah.
Do you think of yourself that way?
Well, I tell people that I'm like a filmmaker by trade and a founder by choice. So like, I'm trained classically in just like making things, and then I kind of went out of my way to start this and do my own thing and build it and share vision and bring people and create things, right? I think for me, entrepreneurship was almost always going to be the answer for the life I wanted to and needed to live. Having a kid so young, I knew that if I worked a high velocity career job, I probably wasn't going to be around my kid that much, and that if I worked a job that didn't align with my trajectory in life, that I would probably be feeling a little disappointed on the back half of my years. So, whose hands better to have your future than yours? And that's the path so I got fired from that job, and Kevin had nothing to do with it, and he actually ended up leaving the company right after that. But I used the severance money and started 4x3, and it's named after the aspect ratio. And that's just been like the necessary part of it is, I think some of the clients that you work with, when you look back on it years past, you're like, oh boy, those movies were like necessary, right? Why? Because I needed the money. Like I had payroll to hit. I didn't want to lay people off in COVID. And I have kids to feed. Like it's a very obvious answer of being a provider. So yeah, I mean, for me, the necessary part about it is really, it stems from like the filmmaker side of like, it's necessary for me to create things. And I think the entrepreneur side comes from like just you get some learning lessons along the way. I had some difficulties on some like early projects where I didn't really like have any say in the marketing or distribution, which the distribution I'm not so heavy-handed on. I'm more than happy to, like the film that got into 600 theaters, another company led distribution on that. The Soderbergh film coming out, another company's leading distribution on that. Literally have zero problem in the world getting out of my own way. It's an ego thing, but it's when I know that I can do it better, that's when I get very frustrated. And I know that I'm a great marketer and I'm a great advertiser, and those are really my strong suits. So to have a project that you spent a year of your life on kind of get ripped out of your hands at the last second and then absolutely fumbled is a terrible feeling, and I just didn't want it to happen again. 4x3 is kind of a refusal to let it happen again. It's a permanent refusal to let that happen again.
There it is. There's the anarchist.
Yep.
So what do you know about advertising marketing? Because you spoke to it about 30 minutes ago. I said, this is pretty much an advertising marketing company.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you know about that?
I think I've found continual success in the social media side of organic advertising marketing. It's like having spent $0 to build a brand and a platform, like not spending $0, but
it's organic, is
just
what you're
understanding, yeah, like it's not boosting posts and that sort of thing. It's like actual work that's bringing in the eyes. As far as the marketing and advertising stuff, it for me, again, this is where it just feels natural because the first thing I did was an accidental ad for Taco Bell, and I loved every second of it. It didn't feel like I was working on an ad. I was making something funny, and I was making the stuff I was making back at home in Monroe with my friends. Yeah, it's just like I knew you kind of like with that. I wrote the spot with people from Funny or Die, and we shot it and did a casting session, all of that. I kind of just realized like, being the director, creative visionary, if you don't have a touch of that marketing or advertising, like
bent.
Yeah, you have to kind of be thinking about it because the whole time you're making something, if you're not thinking about how you're going to sell it and get it out. So that's where I think that the Swiss Army knife is like producer, director, like entrepreneur. And those are like the three things that I think I can catch best. As far as what do I know about marketing and advertising, because I've delayed directly answering that question for 3 minutes now.
That's okay. That's what this is. This is for long form conversation, right? I mean, that's because I think when I ask the question, how your brain's thinking about it, other people have those questions, and they're like, "What should I be thinking about?
What do I know about marketing and advertising?
Yeah.
Right? What should I be thinking about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, like I think like thought process and flow is important from I don't want to say, I'm just having like a tough time verbalizing it. So like I picked 4x3 because I knew that honestly, as soon as Apple Photos, there was an auto crop to 4x3, I knew it was always going to stick around forever, even after the TVs were gone. So that's why I picked the name. And that's why I grew up watching, loving, and I was just like, that's the name. That's the name that can last forever. It's not Dream Chaser Entertainment or Bumblebee Productions. It's 4x3.
So are you like a realist then? Because you like to challenge a system. You're that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But are you a realist? You're like, okay, you just saw what it is. Oh, it's 4x3. This is Apple. This is going to be around forever. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to make. So let's just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to build things for that. So do you think you see the public market that wins in capitalism and you're like, let me just go make things for that? Because you're creative. The first thing you made, the Taco Bell commercial, was just from your own creative, fun brain. Are you still doing it that way? Or are you saying, what is going to hit and win with the market?
It would be negligent to the comics we're working with to not go after market, to not try to continually raise the bar and work with better and better and better comics. So I think like that's where I have to, focus on, capitalism does have a point, right? Money wins and money talks, and people do need to pay bills. So we do have to, to grow the reach and grow the platform, we do have to go outside of our bubble and constantly hunt down bigger people to work with. That being said, like, it is pure in its intentions. It's equitable in its ownership. The comics are 50% owners of their specials. Like, there's never going to be a Dave Chappelle situation that comes out of our camp. It's nice and tight, right? It's just it's just like,
are you making videos that you like?
Yeah.
Or are you making videos intentionally that others will like?
I make ones that I like for like my Instagram. When I'm having fun, that's when, like, I'm working on a project right now that I'm having a lot of fun working on, and it has no purpose, no capitalistic values. It is a 2-year-old, 3-year-old trip that me and my buddies took to Texas, and we actually shot it like a documentary. Like, we have we got flown out there to write a Christmas movie. The Christmas movie, we then in this video make up that we wrote it all overnight. So now we have 3 days just to hang out. We then go to the Alamo and go hiking and get cowboy hats, and it's a fine and dandy time. It's just like a lot of comedy packed into like road trip video essentially, and I'm having fun cutting that. And then like next my cousin's playing junior league hockey, and he's playing the Cyclones junior team next week, and I was like, dude, can I film you? Like, I want to capture like this moment in your life, man. Like, that's when I have the most fun doing it, is when I am able to use my skills to just make YouTube videos, just make content. Like, literally, if it boils down to an Instagram post and $0 and no movement in my life, I had fun doing it. That's 777. Ding, 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 ding.
Yep.
Jackpot payout. Cash it by hand.
So I saw you made a trailer for Like Harvey, Like Son. So he's been here. I think your company did.
Yeah, we
correct?
released the film. Yeah.
Okay, she released it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you direct or produce the trailer, or you just you released the film?
Yep.
Distribution.
Yep. Rudy Harris directed and produced the film with Mike over at Road ID, and they had been working with someone, and then I think that relationship had ended, it fizzled out, and they just wanted to go a different direction. And we had released the Marty Brenneman documentary, and then we released the FC Cincinnati documentary. A lot of, if a filmmaker from Cincinnati, or really at this point the Midwest, has completed a project independently, we've either heard about it or been pitched it, or like there's some level of knowledge and awareness. And really where we'll come in is to help them get it platformed on different streamers, and just to put a face to the people that they're working with, right? This isn't a hard drive going out to LA, because that's essentially what happened on one of our first projects. Is the sharks came out of the water, and we got fucking swindled. So you gotta really not, I mean, like, yeah, the deal is like drowned in debt, and it's 15 years. So it's like going to be until my daughter is 17 before I get the project back. And it's like, okay, so now that I've got my teeth kicked in, let's make sure that never happens again.
But isn't that how life goes?
Yeah, hey, it's about how many times you get back up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, got back up, figured out distribution, got a film into 25 theaters, COVID happens. Films cost too much to make, let's do comedy. Like, just constantly figuring out what that next thing that you got to get back up and do. I feel like that's just the strand that all entrepreneurs have. Everyone's getting knocked down every day, right? Even the dude running a landscaping company had a mower not turn on this morning, or had a truck not start because it's cold. It's just like people like everyone has so much stuff going on. That's my big thing this year, was to be more empathetic, and not to be too much into myself and pat myself on the back. I did a great job. We can call my wife right now. 1996 until 2022 lacked a little bit of empathy. Was kind of very straightforward, and I think like the comedy stuff has loosened me up a lot.
What's having empathy mean? We use that word a lot in society now.
Having empathy is just code for me not being a cold, heartless asshole to people. Like, just like understanding that like what I was saying before, it was like, yo, I need this and I need that, and me, and this and this and this, and we need to do this, and this needs to happen today, and you're putting a lot on other people, right? And like, bro, like their grandpa could be sick, and like, dude, screw editing whatever I just told you to. Go hang out with your, like, it's just listening more and asking more questions. That's what being empathetic is to me, versus just being so zeroed in on the mission. I'm zeroed in on the mission, but I've realized that there's just like some good breathing points that you can take in the interpersonal relationships with people to, just make sure that they're good. It's kind of like where all those words of kindness have been coming from. Is just like, dude, I think that you're awesome. I'm really glad I know you, and if you want to grab lunch sometime this week, I would happily.
It works.
Yeah, exactly.
It just works too. Like, even if somebody wanted to write a metrics for success in business, that works. Even if somebody didn't want to do it from an altruistic standpoint and didn't want to be empathetic, it's like, just be like this, even if you fake it, because it makes other people feel good.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like, honestly, I feel like I've just made more friends this year versus like before. Again, I mean, like, dude, I almost fired my sister. Like, I produced that movie right there, and she was the costume director, and she showed up 2 hours late to a AM shoot. We were shooting morning for sunset, and the sun was rising very fast, and she was 2 hours late with no costume. And she ended up calling my mom after that. I love my mom. My mom totally understood. She's like totally understanding of where I'm coming from. I'm 21 years old producing a $250,000 film. My 19-year-old sister can't show up on time. That is like, I mean, like, that is just not cool.
Zero consideration.
Zero.
You have timelines. You can't just do it the next day. By you pushing it back even an hour, you're paying people to be there. It
just makes me look bad. This was my first big. That was like the film I had produced. The biggest film I had produced before that was a $30,000 project. So that was a big opportunity for me.
So you didn't fire her?
No.
How would you act different now, though? Because she still does need to show up on time. Right? That's the thing. Like, you can't run a movie or an operation or a show and not have them show up on time.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think that there could be just better processes that help avoid things like that happening. For example, there's like 2 or 3 cars on a project that go to and from set like first all day every day. The gear trucks, like, there's just like crew cars that, so if we're not doing call check-ins, then we need to do next day wardrobe in the producer car, which is what it ended up moving. So it's just like, if we gotta go back to like the remedial steps of making sure we're ready for tomorrow,
we'll do what we have to do.
Yeah, but I can't totally like let this ship sink just because like we're showing up whenever we want, not ready to work.
So where's the empathy show up in that situation now? Where would it show up? Someone showing up 2 hours late, and how many people?
If you're related to me, it's not coming. In the same situation, if you're related to me and working on a movie, you know how seriously I take this at this point. If I'm not related to you, it's definitely not as intense as that. It's it's definitely not cool, but again, it's just more like everything cool. People have car issues. People have maybe this sitter didn't show up. It's like things happen.
Life happens.
But I need to know like earlier than 2 hours before that you're gonna be 2 hours late, like sort of thing.
Yeah. So when you mean related to you, also your people, your tight group. That's not just a blood relative. The people that are really in your core are like, hey man, listen, you know how we do this.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, like everyone in the core group is beyond on the same page. That's like, I would say, the hardest part about, there are just people who will DM me and like, hey, how do I get a job at 4x3? I'm like, brother, if I could write a long, complicated book, it would be about how to get a job at 4x3. It is months and months of doing random odd jobs. And
so why don't you write that book? Because
we call it the vibe check, where if you don't annoy all of us whenever you're around us, then you pass the vibe check. And if you annoy no, I'm just kidding.
If you annoy one person, you're not getting the job.
No, it's not. If you annoy one person, it's probably me, and I'm probably just on a stress bender or something.
But you're not going to be like this situation, are you? It can't just be about annoying one person.
No. There's a like long-term commitment to the process of building this. It's not instantaneous.
So why don't you write that book? Because there's something to it when you said about how to write a book about getting a job at 4x3. It's actually writing a book to get a job at the place you want to work.
Now that's a shorter book.
Well, but no, it's the same types of things.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, and that just made me realize that people really want to work there, which is cool. I never even thought about it like that. That's something that
make a video about it. That should be one of your next YouTube or Instagram videos. Yeah,
no, I never thought that I would have a place that like people do want to work at. So I'm honored to have like been a part of creating something like that, but it's not. We don't have we're not a big company.
But make the video though.
Yeah, no,
right.
I
that
think
could be awesome.
Yeah, and it will help. Like we will refer to people as lighthouses, right? Like people that we work with who are like stand-up comics who we'll shoot with them and everything goes great and we'll release it and they'll get a ton of views and they will be in every green room across the country, lighthouse and 4x3.
Yep.
And we're kind of just like, we're kind of built to be the company for like that drifter who's like, oh, what's going on over there? And there's a lighthouse, and then they go check it out and figure out what's there for them.
So you're on Wikipedia, man.
The Wikipedia, the encyclopedia of the internet.
Yeah,
I am aware of that.
How'd that happen?
That happened. I think several years ago when I was in a movie that went to Sundance, and I was doing a number of like. That was when I was first on Getty Images. The first Hollywood party I ever went to was a Weinstein Company party. Come on, anyone want to hear
that's
that
a good
story?
joke, right?
No, it's for real.
Tell us the story.
Oh no, it was at Sundance in 2016, and I got invited to the after party for Song Street. I was 19 years old, and they gave me like so much alcohol. And yeah, no, everything was cool though. I mean, I was there with a friend that I, one, trusted. Two, he was big and could kick someone's butt. Three, he doesn't drink. So he was just 26 years old, wanted to go to Sundance. Cool. Perfect wingman for this underage drinking operation called the Weinstein Company.
Yeah, so Chase didn't get backroomed in this shit or anything.
No. I avoided the back rooms. I hate filing cabinets and stuff like that. That's the worst part of the back rooms is all the shelves and stuff too.
So tell us this as we get this wrapped up, man. Tell us about uphill battles in business.
Urgh.
And
Can that just be the sentence? Business is an uphill battle. Oh.
Yeah, I mean there are, right? But there's moments where you plateau and it feels good for a slight moment. Where you see, to your point, you see the White House through the fog, and you're like, "Man, there it is. I can see it." But the battles, the uphill battle, it feels like you're always climbing uphill.
I think if it doesn't feel like you're climbing uphill, then you've lost like your big vision. Like the vision should be so big that you feel like you're never gonna be done. I like that part of what we're doing, where it is never done. There's no end in sight. We're gonna keep doing this, and then maybe one day we'll wake up and it will be the size that we want it to be. But if not, we can still like take a humble step back and know that it's going somewhere. It's not like going down. It's not, thank God YouTube costs nothing. No one's trying to cancel us on there. It's Netflix and anything that costs money, people are like, I could do without.
Those ads get irritating as hell on YouTube sometimes. They're really close to making me pay for premium. They're really close because it's irritating as hell, man. I'm about people making money, but gosh damn.
I think it's the ad quality sucks. It's like
bad, dude.
Boner pills and Weed 8 or what is it called? Delta 8.
It's just bad. It's like there's a good short or a good video I'm watching, and all of a sudden, right in the moment where it's like, this is really good, and some stupid-ass commercial pops up.
Ugh.
And if I'm not at my phone to hit skip after 3 or 4 seconds, I'm like, this sucks.
I'll tell you, the worst is on kids' videos, they'll run these 23-minute long ads.
In case you fall asleep and they
my
get
kid
paid.
Doesn't know how to hit skip, dude. And then these the one is like a Blippy Play-Doh ad. And then my kid will want to watch Blippy instead of whatever I turned on.
So it works.
Yeah. And then Netflix started doing this with their shows. They'll put the first episode on, they'll run it as an ad, and then your kid wants to watch Netflix. That's messed up. And then imagine if there was an app that was just comedy ads. Come on. Yeah.
Can you talk about the name of what the app's going to be, or is that still to be?
It's called Jester. I've started raising some money, and Yeah, I'm just
The original comedians, the jesters.
Yeah.
Has there been a moment in business where you really thought about quitting this journey? Has there been a moment?
No. There was a time when I was producing Moondance that I wanted to come home because I was dry heaving from exhaustion, not even a third of the way into shoot. And I called my wife and I was like, I need to come home. I had I just done. She said, you went up there to make a movie, now go do it. And hung up on me. And yeah, so I did. And yeah, you just gotta have confidence, a fire in you. You have to know that you're doing the right thing, because if you ever second guess it, then that's when the idea of quitting starts to enter. But no, I mean, the idea of seriously quitting has never come across, not even for like 2 seconds. It's too much fun, and we've gotten too far. And I've somehow found a way to stabilize a dream and 3 children and all of that stuff. So if I were to go for the layup instead of like the off the backboard dunk, that'd be silly.
What does, for me, for my curiosity, because I'm just a layman when it comes to production and making movies, what does a producer do? Mm-hmm. We understand what a director does. What does a producer do?
Well, producer's gonna be a catch-all phrase that gets used a lot. So it's a great question to ask, because some people are financial producers only. There's people who are line producers who will put together the budgets for the things. There's people who are like physical producers, which is how I got started, putting together call sheets, finding crew, keeping budget tight, scheduling meals, staying within like our 10 or 12 hour work days, handling locations, getting permits, shutting down streets, like the more like tangible, trained, like producing. Like I could go to MGM and be like, I'm a producer. I can like produce a fucking, like, put a script in front of me. I can break it down. I can tell you how many days it's going to take to shoot. I can tell you about how much money it's going to cost to shoot. And I can do all the paperwork to shut down the streets, find the locations. I can recommend crew. I can pretty much do everything but direct it. And I can still when I'm directing, I only direct. I don't direct and produce. So that's the thing. It's just like understanding the line.
So it's a kind of a general manager of the movie?
Yeah, it's a general contractor for a movie. So a general contractor building a house and getting the plans and getting the permits and hiring the right teammates, the plumbers, the roofers, getting the cabinets and picking them out with the homeowner, right? It's like a lot of that stuff comes into play too. It's like me and the director are going to go check out 4 different bars in town, see which one we like the best to shoot at. And we're going to like that. Yeah.
A producer's kind of like a co-director too, even though there's co-directors. It's like because you and the
they
director
would hate it if they would hate any sort of agreement on that. Co-directing is so related to the actors and how they're performing.
But you two are tied in at the hip for the movie, though, right?
I would never tell an actor how to do anything. On the set that I'm producing, I have had performance feedback once or twice, but I'll tell it to the director and then let the director tell it to the person if they agree with it. But I try to stay I let them be trusted in that lane, because if they aren't, then after the movie, they go on Facebook and say, this dude hovered over my shoulder and told me how to do everything, and now my movie sucks because of him.
Sounds like that's happened.
Nah, it's never. I've seen it happen. Not with my projects.
It doesn't go well.
No, it doesn't at all. Even with the Directors Guild, like high level directors, because that was happening like pre-internet, 80s, 90s, and even before then, is they would get a director to do a movie, then they would lock him out of the edit room and then put their name on the project, and they would be mad. They would have no platform to be like, I did not direct this. This was not my movie.
But now they have the platform.
But now they do. So I think like, not a recent example of that, but everyone wanted to see the Snyder cut. People like director's cuts when they follow specific directors. I know like Soderbergh was recutting some of his projects over the quarantine. So there's like a lot of just like filmmakers who like making projects, who don't care about the money, who know that they're talented, but also won't get screwed because they know they have been screwed, right? So they're kind of like they're necessarily looking out for themselves.
So there's a clearly defined role between production, a producer, and the director.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to work 100% and have a symbiotic relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's who you're working. I mean, like in a traditional like pre-production office for like movies of budgets our size, like a director will be going over shot listing and storyboarding with a DP, and I'll be, making copies of dailies and calling, if we have an extras coordinator, I'll be calling the extras coordinator to coordinate extras. If I'm the extras coordinator, I'll be calling the extras.
Sounds like on extra work.
There's just a lot of layers. Yeah, exactly. I do whatever needs to be done. It's like being the CEO and the janitor. You're picking up lunch, you're picking up trash, you're starting cars, you're just doing whatever. And you're trying to keep a smile on your face because this is what you like prayed to do. You, like prayed on my worst days in life that I just wanted to make movies for a living. So.
All right. So what's your 2024 vision and dream? You're on this 6-month project to get Jester out.
Yeah,
right.
I want to get Jester off the ground by March, and just continue to. I think consistency is the year of the word for me in 2024. I've got like a few big things that are teasing me, so I've just got to and when they're teasing you, it means that they're close. So it's like I'm not as close as I think I am. I still got steps to take, and I have to maintain my common sense and just like my expectation. It all doesn't need to happen right this second, but I'm doing the things every day to help it happen months from now. So yeah, that's 2024 consistency. I'm hoping that the app goes according to plan. Everyone's able
It won't.
Yeah, it's already been like, what I'm realizing too is that it is like, in terms of like raising money and venture capital stuff, like I always rolled my eyes when I saw like, oh, this company raised like $6 million to build an app. I'm like, what does it take $6 million to build an app? Like, that's insane. Like $6 million to build like an app. And oh my goodness, I could tell you how much I could use $6 million right now to build. Like if we had like a full on, not $6 million,
A
but
full team.
Yeah, even if we had like $1 million right now, we could get to market. And that's really what I'm after, is just like check by check. Yeah, we got a $25,000 check that allowed me to bring a developer on, and I've just kind of been building it off of that. And really it's a domino process from there as far as getting money. Like, the first check gets you, like, I had the idea and then we got the check and now we're working on demo, and then I'm going to be able to take that demo back to VCs, and then the VCs may be able to parlay more money into it to where I can actually hire people. So some of it's baby steps. I'm thankful that we got a little bit of money. It's all going towards the app. So, it's not like the misconceived notion of entrepreneurs like Chase Crawford got $25,000.
You didn't?
No. Our developer will be getting that over the course of pretty much the next couple of months, but unless something changes. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been good. Let's see. Did I miss anything?
Look, you see, he's pulling something out of his pocket. As you pull out your stuff, and they'll give you hits on social media and where to go track you down and all that stuff.
Some things I've watched on TV that I like recently. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, let's go.
Telemarketers on HBO.
Am I supposed to call bullshit on this stuff? Telemarketers on HBO?
Yeah.
What telemarketer on HBO?
It's a docuseries about these guys who were telemarketers in the early 2000s for like the FOP, and it was all a scam.
Yep.
It's
Raised
crazy.
millions, just ripped millions off people.
And I think I'm friends with one of the daughters of one of the brothers who started the company, and she changed her last name. I woke my wife up in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, I think I know why she changed her last name. I think I know. I think that's her dad. Anyways,
So she changed her last name that didn't have to do with a marriage.
No. We were in high school, and she was like doing music, and she started going by the stage name full time.
So you're not going to tell us who that is.
But, no.
Okay.
Anyone who knows, everyone has enough context clues by now. We've got wrestlers. Did you guys watch that? I see the Dano's seasoning.
Boy, he is big time into independent wrestling.
I'm not even kidding. That was written on my list.
Are you serious?
Yeah, look.
So let me see. So what about wrestlers?
I loved everything about it. I think that it captures a level of independent art that I love and I can't get enough of. The Hollywood Haley J or whatever, like her storyline is like, I connect to it so much because I had a kid young and just followed the hell out of my dream. Mm-hmm. And like I see that in her, and there's like just seeing people go from performing in front of 100 people to performing in front of 5,000 at these arena shows. That's what comedy's like. The guy that I mentioned, Blake, he performed in front of 30 people in that at Motor Pub. We did this special. He performed at Taft and opened up for Mark Norman like a handful of weeks ago and did a lot of the same jokes, and they all killed. And it's just one of those things that shows you like talent's talent. Doesn't matter if it's 30 people or 3,000. It will always go to the top and just
you'll be found.
Yeah, exactly.
So I stole your list here. Beautiful Dogs.
Yeah, Shane Gillis special. I've watched it like 3 times now.
Why?
Because because Abu is dead. That's why. No, because I saw the set at the mothership, and I told my wife, I said, this Shane Gillis guy is so funny, and I couldn't find any of the material on YouTube, and then all of it was in this special. Watched it with her, and I've watched it twice more since then with other people, just trying to get them into like the base level of what like independent comedy that people like my age, our age are all into. It's like, oh yeah, now that some of these guys are getting older, I'm trying to like Sinbad's getting older, right? So we're getting some age into the formula. Pauly Shore.
Like, what's funny about Shane Gillis though is I've seen him on Rogan because they're buddies.
Yeah.
And he's just a quiet, normal guy, man.
Dude, he is
right. And I'm like, so I haven't watched this, so I need to go watch it. I'm sure. Is it online? Is it on YouTube? Beautiful Dogs. Okay,
it's on Netflix.
So that's a special. He's like a guy that you're like, oh, I grew up with him, or that's a guy I just saw at the bar, or that's just a normal guy.
So like a class clown guy from high school who was always goofing on people. I think he has found a great way to make a career out of that.
Yeah. So Boogie 2988.
Oh yeah, that's a YouTube documentary that I just got done watching. It's insane. Boogie 2988. He was a original like YouTuber. He's been on YouTube for 15 years. He anyone who's watched this documentary, a key thing about Boogie is that he's like morbidly obese and a video gamer. So he's just like the textbook definition of like neck beard, right? Like giant, like he's like 400 pounds, right? He essentially went from being super successful to in the past like 3 years he's fallen off, just got an ego and became unlikable and all of this. And then in this documentary it comes out he spent like 200 grand on hookers. He's only gonna make like 20 grand this year, and the whole doc and now he has some 20-year-old girlfriend. It was so gross to watch, but I could not.
There's the dimples coming out.
Could not recommend it more, dude.
So what is it about video games? So you sit and in your own time for you sit and play video games with your wife. What is it about this new video game world and culture, and what is it?
Well, I've always played sports video. I pretty much exclusively play sports games just because it is so on it. Like the ability to turn it on and off is top tier when it comes to like wasting time. I can turn on one game, takes 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes for like a game of NHL. which is what I'm normally playing NHL and UFC. So, yeah. And then she plays a lot of a game called Dead by Daylight, which is like more of a hide and seek hunting game those games can last for longer, and she's way more into the like video game stuff. I'm pretty sure she was like ranked number, I don't know. She's good at video games. It's crazy. She was ranked number 1 in the world.
Number 1.
Yeah.
In your book, or literally number 1?
I'm just reading. She wrote these lines I have to say. The next one, I fully commit to. No, I'm just kidding.
Has she ever taken your social media and made one of those posts? Like, I'm his favorite person in the world. I do no wrong.
No.
But what has she done? There's something causing significant smiles, and
she's just, I mean, that's my best friend. So I just smile every time I think about her. I'm just looking at some of the stuff that I wrote too. No, I mean, her and I have a blast together. We got to go to Boston last year. We got to go to Napa the year before that. And yeah, I'm excited to just live rest of my life with that lady. We got the back half without these kids though, which is gonna be so much fun. Come on. And
what are you gonna do with that?
I want to move to Portugal. I want to have like a family villa in Portugal that I can just move everyone into and out to, and we can all have universal health care, great surfing.
Why Portugal? Because there is great surfing.
Yeah, universal health care. I want to, ideally on the family villa, there's like a port company. You know, are you familiar with ports? It's like a dessert wine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know a lot about them, but I know them.
I would like to. Yeah, I would
like to make those.
Like to make dessert wines.
So you're gonna need some acreage.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you can get. I saw like a 14 home family villa for like $4 million or something.
So you want to make that. So I'm going to come at you here. All right. So you want to make that money in our capitalistic system
America
that doesn't have universal health care, and take it and buy the thing in Portugal to have universal health care.
That's
okay.
That's
okay.
not specifically. I think as a retirement plan, my plan is to retire and to leave this specific country. As much as I do love it, I am a citizen, so I will still maintain dual citizenship. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've done my duty as far as sticking it out here through 27, so I can't be drafted anymore. I don't really have much left to do after I've already taken advantage of its capitalist, you know.
Because that is what's rare about this.
Right? Just, hey, live in the capitalist place for a while, do the capitalism.
Take all the money.
Leave the capitalism.
Take the money.
Yeah. Isn't that what Bezos did? He moved to space?
Well, he moved to Florida, right? Which some people think it's another country now. What can we do with that, though, that there's some things that we love about the opportunity that we have in the country, and there's things that people hate. But yet,
I think there's just such a political disconnect where everyone's tried to group everyone into some pocket of something. Yeah. And really this is me as a non-political endorsement for anyone or anything, just in talking to people from across, literally from Austin, Texas to Eastern Kentucky to LA to San Francisco. There's a horseshoe effect, right? It's the media wants us to think we're all the way apart from each other when everyone's struggling to pay bills right now. Everyone could benefit from, you know, like people in Eastern Kentucky benefit just as much from healthcare as Austin, Texas.
Take a position. That's okay.
I think that there's a lot more that we could do for our people than send $100 billion to wars that, like, what the hell are we doing? Like, just fighting people constantly. And then, like, you know, the Pentagon's never passed an audit, so we've got just billions of dollars disappearing left and right to who knows where. You know, political activist committees have practically ruined politics and politicians, what they stand for and who they stand for. They don't care about who they're voted for. They care about who's putting money in their check.
And yet they still divide us around a Republican Democratic thing when they're both running that system you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's insane about this.
Yeah, no, and then they decide without, if and this is like maybe a bigger thing, but like imagine if there were, what is it called, like where it's just like a quick election in other countries where they like something urgent pops up and they do it like the next week, like, okay, hey, this country's going to war. Should we spend $50 billion? Everyone go vote next Friday.
That'd be
never happening.
Yeah, it'd be chaos.
Never happening.
So I would agree with you on time, but that would be chaos though, because it would just, because as much as it sounds great, there has to be
special election. That's what they call it.
Yeah, but there's got to be someone, man, like you running your company. There has to be someone. You're taking their feedback, but someone has to make some decisions.
Yeah,
and that's why we elect folks. It's just the system's been screwed up.
Yeah, right now I think there's something wrong with it. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, it's the people that are being elected. The people that are being elected aren't tuned in with doing things that are going to help the citizens and benefit us is the problem. That's the issue. It is self-service is what's happening in politics now, man.
Yeah, and exactly.
Get rich, get wealthy, let me improve my life. And I agree with you, man. I think that there's some – I don't think it's as simple as $50 billion to Ukraine or going to war in Afghanistan. It's not, because there's bad people in the world, just like there's bad people in our cities and our societies. We need people. You can call them police, we can call them whatever. But I know if you remove them from our society, the bad people are going to do bad things and take over. Just like in the world, it's like I don't like being this term of we're the police of the world, but here's what happens when there aren't strong entities. World War II happens because there's idiots like a guy named Hitler, right? There's people that come up in Italy like Mussolini. There's these dictatorish type of people, and I mean, Putin's kind of doing some nasty shit in Russia. There's these dictators that just don't have good intentions for people, and so what I'm saying is, who's going to check them? I don't know who it is, but somebody's going to have to check those folks. We can say we don't want it to be our job, because at some point, imagine if World War II wouldn't have had the outcome that it did. Our country doesn't look like what it does.
Right. No, I mean.
So what do you do? It's right. There's so much context to all the conversation.
Yeah, Lynch, Kentucky, the coal mine that won the war. Right.
There you go. So what do you do with all that? Right. I just think the politicians do suck.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think there's like, look, fundamentally, if we're all paying money into taxes and have no say or oversight or even an initial audit or inkling into transparency of where this money's going, that's a bit rough. And then the flip side is like so many people are employed by the federal government.
Dude.
Teachers, police officers, there's
so many entities.
Isn't it like 4 in 10 people? It's a very
they're
high
government
number.
employees. You know, the number one employer, what I believe in the state of Kentucky, I believe is the education system. So it's just wild though, isn't it? So people attached to education is number one. So the problem is those people are going to fight for their thing, and then there's people over here fighting for their thing. I just think it's more about what's happening in society is, you touched on the politician, what's happening is people are going to their corner. And they're going to their corner with people on their team. And they've forgotten, it's like, hey guys, hold on just a second. Before there were Democrats, before there were Republicans, before there were, I don't care, before there were all these different religions for us, it's like what we all have in common is we're humans. That's the first thing. And I think what almost every human has in common, we just want our families to have like good lives. We want to wake up every day and have some freedom and do our thing. There's so much commonality that we have, and the systems and people fighting for their own little thing, it's kind of fucked some shit up here.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, it's like my 2-year-old just broke her leg. Should that bill be $7,000 or $70,000 with how much taxes all of us pay, right? It's just like, but
it's tough,
then
man.
The doctors can't. Then the government has to regulate what the doctors get, and then they have to regulate. Well, well, then you have to look into doctors getting kickbacks and how they're making money, and you have to regulate pharmacy.
And then the $300,000 they had to pay to go to school. I mean, there's all sorts of things here.
Sure. I mean, well, like, RFK, love him or hate him, he makes a very great point that we are one of two countries that allows pharmaceutical advertising.
New
What
Zealand.
does that say about us?
Us in New Zealand.
That's like, what does that say about us? That shows that.
What do you think it says about us?
I think this shows that entertainment and media controls our minds. And in other countries, they allow medical professionals to give them advice and introduce them to medicine.
But at the end of the day, it's probably not medical professionals. It's the money and the funding behind the entity.
Jeez, I'm gonna have a internal panic attack from all of the people that control us.
Right? It's wild. But here's
when
what
you said, "What's in that cold foam?" I was like, "Oh my god, did they change it? What is?"
But here's what's beautiful about the whole thing. So I'll bring it right back around, man. Is that here's what I've said, and I tell people because I'm registered independent. That's why I'm registered.
Let's go.
Right, I just am.
I'm not a registered felon.
Yeah, so there you go. Right. So I'll not. So here's what I'll not do. I'll not piss people off and talk about whether I vote, whether I don't vote, and all that. But I'm registered independent because I don't believe that these parties, neither one of them, and the people running them and operating them, I don't believe they're doing anywhere close to representing me. About how I grew up, the place I came from, the people I see around. So here's what's awesome. I tell our people, I'm like, hey, listen, guys, this company, my real estate company, started in 2007, I think. Yes, 2007. So that's 16 years ago. Since 2007, we have had George Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Biden. We've had 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. The outcome of my real estate company has nothing to do with any of those idiots. And the reason why I say idiots is because they're just working for systems. They got elected by a party, by a small group of people that put them in front of us and said, this is one of the 2 people that you get to elect. So that's our system. I do love the freedom that this country does afford us. I do, man. Like, we have more choices here about the outcome of our life than almost anywhere else in the world. And so what we have to do is say, hey, whoever's the president, whoever's in these big political positions, they are not going to dictate my outcome. So no matter what rules they make, what money they take from us, what they do, I'm going to make sure I get up every day, do everything I can to control my little world, affect my outcome, and that's what matters. We're allowing the media to think that those people, those 4 people I named, they don't know who I am. They don't know my name. They aren't waking up every day to say, let me make that guy's life better or worse. They're not. They don't know me. So whatever their metric is on what they're trying to run, I don't give a shit. I'm going to run my stuff. And what I know is your dream about you moving to Portugal, you actually can earn that. And there aren't many places in this world where that truly is not possible, likely for you. There's not, man.
I love this country. I mean, I hate to say that I want to leave. Jeez, you might have just convinced me to stay.
I don't know. I think that if you go, like I was in about a year ago, I was in southern Spain, and so right there by Portugal, down by the Mediterranean, went over to northern Africa, and it's a cool place, man. And I think those citizens of the countries I was in, they want the same thing for their families that we do. They just don't have the same opportunity, man.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Right? They don't. They have the same screwed up politics. Like, there's been dictators. I mean, within my lifetime, the guy who ran Spain was a dictator. Right? Now it's supposedly a democracy. And I sat down, and Jenna and I, we sat down and talked to some people that were expatriates who moved from England, who moved to Spain. And we sat and listened to their lives. And they came from England, and they have universal health care. And I just heard good things about it and bad things about it. And then you talk to him about being in Spain, and I'm like, I want to go back to my life. And I'm with you, man. I'm registered independent. I don't like a lot of this bullshit going on, but I want that life.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, man. I'd prefer to go and visit and come back here. And so, the thing is that no matter
I'll go like Kanye and get like a
Yeah.
Montana thing. I just want to be away from everyone with my family for like 30 years.
Yep, do it.
Cool.
But here's what's awesome is you're actually going to be able to go to Portugal too. And so I think the message is
I'm sorry.
Don't let the bullshit happening in society and what the media is doing to us, social media, don't let that bullshit affect and dictate our outcomes. Because it doesn't have to.
I agree. I try to shut all of that stuff out. I think like, yeah, setting the goal of Portugal. I've never even left the country, so it's like, let's go. Let's just do it. I've seen it on the internet.
Go spend a month first. You'll do that with the family when the kids get older. So I think no matter how much the bullshit out is here, man, go out in your local community, make a difference, build the company you're building. Like, that's what's cool is 4x3 and then Jester and the things you're building. This country allows us to do it.
Absolutely.
Let's not get deterred and affected by the BS going on, because it's not going to stop, man.
If there's no better truth that's been spoken on here, it's that the bullshit never ends.
So keep going and have fun and smile, right?
Yeah, smile. You're either the bug or the windshield. So,
what the hell's Antonio's Deli as we go out of here? Is it
Antonio's Deli? This is a production company out in LA. It was founded by a guy named Julian and his friend Dex Carvey, who passed away of accidental overdose last week. So love you, Dex. Missing my friend Dex this week. It's been a pretty gray Thanksgiving. But yeah, I got to spend a couple of days with them out in LA at the end of the month, and Antonio's Deli is not a deli. It's they make animated videos for the internet, and he just finished his first movie. I got to see like some of it, and it's incredible, and I'm so happy that he gets to just live with us forever through that work, and I'm proud that I got to know him, and gonna cheer his name forever. So thanks for asking. Man, love that guy. He was the best, and always lit up a room. So
what's special about being around those people is it gives you something to make sure that you go and replicate for other people in their lives, man.
Yeah. It's like, I was even like, as it was happening, like, it's just so tough to like comprehend the like loss of someone that you just saw. Like, that was insane. But like, just knowing that I got to know him, be friends with him, and like I got to do what he did best. I got to make things with him, and got to like, he had a comedy club in LA that we shot 3 or 4 specials at, and we just got to support each other and work with each other in so many ways. And I felt so deeply impacted by his loss, because again, we just saw him, and that's just the type of stuff that you never want to see, never. And it really took a lot out of me. So yeah, that's Antonio's Deli.
All right, man.
They're gonna you will know Dex Carvey. I'm telling you, you will know Dex Carvey. He has a movie. It's coming soon, and you will know him.
That's a good representation of a friend, dude. Yep.
I'm going to be his biggest cheerleader from here on out, dude.
All right. Cheers.
Yeah,
so thumbs up.
Cheers.
You're
Let's
busy.
get into the
Thumbs up for get to the whiskey. And hey, man, crush the rest of the year. Hope you have a good holiday and make a good Christmas movie with your girls.
Yeah, we'll do it one day. I heard Jack Black's a little too busy, and that's like my favorite.
School of Rock's your favorite movie.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
we didn't talk about it a ton, but
that's all.
Are you a musician?
No, just I kind of like the comedy stuff and the music stuff. Like, I was in the Weird Al growing up, so that's kind of like
Weird Al Yankovic,
where that came from. And then yeah, School of Rock, I watched it at the right time in life where it just hit me hard, and it was like, dang, this guy just, everyone saw him as a loser and for what he couldn't be, and he just always saw in himself like what he could be if he had support, and the support just happened to be 8 and 9-year-old kids. I don't know if that's the true message of the movie, but that's what I took away from it is and like, kids are pure and innocent and beautiful and talented, and you should support them and love on them. And like art is an important thing for them. Like there's so many of these life lessons in that movie that it just hit at the right time. So I'm sure I'm the most deeply impacted person by the movie School of Rock.
Maybe we'll find out. I think that's a good way to end this, man.
Yeah, man. I
All
appreciate you having me on, and this was a great conversation. And I would, man, I would love to come back or recommend anyone else. And you guys are awesome.
And
I
who
know
knows?
didn't say anything, but
Maybe you'll level it. Yeah, these guys. It's all the stuff happening, and it's not even behind the scenes because they're other than today. These guys are the ones that make this happen, right? It's the editing, it's the scheduling, it's producing, it's making it all happen. I just get to show up, and Dave sends me all these notes about a guy that's going to come in, and I'm like, let me dig in and find out about him, right? But maybe we can learn some things from you about continuing to build our content because that's what we do. We reflect. We have this media studio. We're trying to level up and do some stuff, and there'll be some posters on some walls.
Hey, awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Have a great 2024.
Yes.
Yep.